Hey everybody, it's Anna, Lovely with Lard at Sobremesa Farm Kitchen. And today we are going to spin off another video and make a new recipe that's one of my kids' favorites, and actually has spoiled them so much that they will not eat the store-bought ones now. So today we are going to take our pie crust and we are going to make homemade Pop Tarts. With the homemade Pop Tarts, here are the ingredients you need to gather. Now make sure that that pie dough had been resting for at least 30 minutes, remember? And from here, we're gonna go ahead and get ready. Not very many ingredients that are involved, not much time is needed for this. These are amazing little morsels that can actually go into the freezer if you make enough of them. In our house, one batch does not last us long enough to put in the freezer unless I double the batch. And you put them in the freezer and you can throw them into the toaster when you're done, and when you're in the morning and you're rushed, throw them in the toaster, they're done, just like a normal Pop-Tart. I've got my oven going back here, preheating to 425 degrees. I have a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper, so let's get started rolling these Pop-Tarts out. With my extra flour, I'm gonna go ahead and dust my surface so that way the dough, the pie dough, does not stick to my countertop. I'm gonna take my pie dough out of the saran wrap that it was resting in. And then I'm gonna take my flour that I had and I'm just going to liberally dust the surface of my counter with that. And we're gonna set it off to the side because we probably are gonna need it still a little bit more. And here I'm gonna go ahead and take my disc of dough and I'm just gonna use the palm of my hand to press it out just a little bit further. Now, I know one thing, my mom used to always use a pastry cloth and a sleeve on her rolling pin, and it's something that I prefer not to do, but many people have different tricks on how they do it. Some people put saran wrap down, then they put their dough, and then they put another thing of saran wrap, and then they roll, or they do it with parchment paper, wax paper. Everybody has their own little tricks, but for me, I like to feel. I like to see it, feel it, and it's just not the same when you have all the other barriers there. So I got my disc kind of pounded out just a little bit with my palm of my hand, and then I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna kind of use my hand and dust the flour around a little bit more. I'm gonna flip it, and then I'm gonna do the same thing. Go ahead and push it out. Now, again, if you don't have lard, use butter. Most recipes call for butter, but like I said in other videos, we're kind of weird. We love using lard. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my rolling pin. Starting in the middle of my dough, I'm going to push out, and then just going back to the middle, I'm gonna roll it towards myself. And then I'm gonna go ahead and turn it. Let's see, that would be counterclockwise. Same process. I'm going to go ahead, start in the middle, I'm gonna roll it out, and then I'm gonna roll it towards myself. Again, turn it clockwise, making sure you're kind of grabbing some of that flour as you're turning. And again, we're going to roll it and do that a couple times on that turn. And just kind of keep going with it. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it a little bit more. And see, now my dough is getting a little bit sticky, so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna flip it up with my hand. Get some more flour going on here. There's nothing worse than having your pie crust, and then I flipped it over so the top is now on the bottom. Nothing worse than having your pie crust stick to the counter when you're ready to use it. So we're gonna go ahead and keep going. I'm gonna roll it out to the corner up top, roll it out to the corner at the top, roll it out to the bottom corner, roll it out to this bottom corner. And then once it gets to be so big, you can't really turn it anymore, and you just keep rolling it. Now, If you were doing a pie, you want to try to make it as circular as possible, but since we're going to be making Pop Tarts, it's kind of okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and flip this, and I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit more flour down, dust, 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 dust. And then flip what was on top, down on the bottom. Now, I will say, if you have the opportunity to use lard in your pie crust, it gives you such a different flavor than, per se, butter or Crisco. So I highly, highly recommend it. And as you saw in previous videos, our lard is so pure, and it comes from our pigs that are a rare Hungarian breed of Mangalistas. They kind of look like a woolly sheep. If you've never seen it, you should Google it. They're quite interesting looking. Everybody that we show where they're like, oh my gosh, that's a pig, it looks like a sheep. No, it's definitely a pig. So we'll get this rolled out here. And I will tell you that we will have some leftovers that we will make some pie crust cookies for my kids for after school snack. They will absolutely love that. All right. Now we want to roll this out pretty thin. You don't want it too thin, but you definitely don't want it too thick either. So you're gonna have to, I don't know if you could see that, but that's about as thick as we want it. It's not so thin that it's transparent, but like I said, we just don't want it too thick because then it doesn't cook properly. So now I have it all rolled out. Now we're gonna get ready to cut it and form our Pop Tarts. Now to cut it, I always use, for me, it's just quicker, easier. I eyeball it. Sometimes I know people want it perfect. You know what, it's for my family. Nothing's perfect in the world, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and take my pie cutter, or my pizza cutter, and I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of square off my dough. All these yummy morsels over off to the side. And I may be able to roll some of this back out. I just don't want to overwork the dough. You have to be really careful not to overwork dough, because if you overwork pie dough, it becomes really tough and it's not flaky and yummy like you really want it to. Okay, so Pop-Tart, what shape is a Pop-Tart? Not a circle, not a triangle, but yes, a rectangle. Now you could do these either in a square shape or a rectangle. I've done either way, it doesn't matter. So we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna cut long strips here. And some of these are gonna be a little bit bigger than others, and that's totally okay. All right, and then I'm gonna go that way, and now I'm gonna come and I'm gonna go back through. So we're gonna go. Now, the jam that we're gonna be using today is actually some that my mom had made and given me, and it is her raspberry jam. She grows her own raspberries, she makes her own jam. Very little sugar that is involved in this. And I will tell you that some Pop-Tart recipes that you find online, they have kind of like a royal icing over the top of it when they're done. I feel that too much sugar takes away from the flavors of the pie crust and the flavor of the jam. And so at our house, we don't do any frosting on the top. It's just pure natural. So I have my raspberry jam ready to go, and I also need a fork and a pastry brush and a little bit of water that I have right off here to the side. I brush around the edges just to help kind of seal, and this helps seal the deal as well. So let's go ahead and get ready to form our Pop Tarts. All right, so I have all my rectangles ready to go. I'm gonna take a fork and I'm gonna go ahead and poke some holes in some of these. These are gonna be my top. And the reason I'm poking holes is the steam and the air is
while it's in the oven, needs to be able to escape. So we're going to go ahead, these little holes are going to go ahead and allow that steam to escape as it's cooking. All right, now I got these all poked, the ones that needed for the top, and now I'm going to take this homemade yummy jam that my mom made. It's fresh from her raspberries from her garden, and see how thick it is. We're going to go ahead and kind of get that all stirred in, worked in. That way they're not just big clumps of jam there. And in each bottom, I'm going to go ahead and put about a tablespoon of jam on there. And here in a second, we're going to go ahead and spread it out, but we're going to go ahead and get each of them some jam. Now you can use any jam that you like or your family would like. Like I said, this is raspberry. You could do apple butter, you could do cherry jam. Really, whatever you have on hand is probably going to work for you. Don't go buy any special ingredients. If you already have some jam in the refrigerator, use that up. All right, got the last one here, and we're going to go ahead and use the back of our spoon, and we're just going to go ahead and push the jam out towards the corners, towards the edges. And we want to make sure that there is a lip all the way around. That's going to help us when we get ready to put these two pieces together. There'll be an area to seal. So just kind of get this all pushed around, probably about a ½ inch to a ¼ inch space off to the side. Now I have made these with apple butter before, and they are so yummy. All right, we've got one more here, and then after we get done with that, we're going to go ahead and take our water. Make sure your water is cold again. And we're going to use our little brush, pastry brush, and we're just going to take the water in the pastry brush, and we're going to go around the edges and put water all the way around the edges. And this water acts like a glue when we put the two pieces together. It just helps make a seal on the edge so that way the jam doesn't ooze out. We want to try to prevent that. I'm going to take the top here that we poked holes in. Oops. Let's see, wrong way, let's go this way. I want to go this way. And then I'm going to take my finger and just kind of push around the edges and to form a seal. We're going to go ahead and get this one too. Push around, form a seal around the edges, just like this. And then to really make sure that it gets sealed, we're going to go ahead and take a fork, and it also is kind of decorative, and we're just going to push down all the way around our edges to make sure that those tops come together. All right, got that one done. All right, now this is what they all look like, and they're ready for the oven.
Now that our Pop Tarts are all ready to go on our parchment lined baking sheet, we're gonna go ahead, stick it in our oven. Remember, the oven has to be at 425 degrees. And we're gonna stick these guys in there, and we're gonna bake them approximately 7 to 8 minutes. Now you wanna watch them, don't overcook them. We want this to be a nice golden, lovely brown. So I'm gonna go ahead, stick them in our oven back here. And patiently wait. All right, as our Pop Tarts are finishing up in the oven, I'm gonna go ahead. I could have probably made about one more Pop Tart, but I'm telling you, my family loves these pie crust cookies. And so just really quick, I'm gonna show you. I already have the pie crust on a baking sheet with some parchment paper. And super simple, you just put that on there in random shapes. They don't need to be anything particular. I always have a little container of cinnamon sugar mixed on hand at all times. And I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna sprinkle the cinnamon sugar on each of my pie crust little pieces. And don't be stingy with that. Do not be stingy with the cinnamon and sugar, because it just makes it that much better. These are just great little, when my kids come home from school, they pop those in their mouths and they are gone. This will be gone as soon as they get home. 2 boys between myself, 2 boys and a husband, these guys were gone in literally minutes. So as you can see, we have the cinnamon and sugar on all our pie crust cookies. So let's get back here. The timer hasn't quite gone off, but we're gonna go ahead and check on our Pop Tarts to see how they're doing. And we're gonna go ahead and give them about 2 more minutes. I will tell you that I was off a little bit on the time. I had 7 to 8 minutes, and truly it's more about 12 to 15 minutes. So just kind of keep an eye on it. I'd start at 12 minutes instead of the 7 or 8 minutes, and it needs to go just a little bit longer than I had anticipated. So we will check back and see where we're at in a couple minutes. All right, I'm getting ready to pull those Pop Tarts out of the oven, and getting ready to swap spots and put those cookies back, or put the cookies in per se. And that again, about 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes on these cookies. Just kind of keep your eye on them. You don't want them overcooked, but you don't want them undercooked either. So let's kind of come on over here and pull these guys out. Starting to get nice and golden brown on the top. And I can hear the jam kind of oozing out. Some of them I didn't get sealed as good as they probably should have. And let's go ahead and put this pan in. Here you have it, folks. Homemade Pop Tarts. I'm telling you, my kids will not eat store-bought Pop Tarts anymore. We actually got some a while back. Nope, they actually went to the pigs for a little treat for our pigs. It's too good, it's too easy, too good. And once you have this, you taste the other things and you're like, no thank you. I will stick to my homemade Pop Tarts. Super quick, super easy. So, as we always say, from our kitchen to your kitchen, we hope that you have the most amazing, blessed day. We'll see you next time.